Welcome back to the channel, guys. Well, I am back again at Ducati Bournemouth, and do you remember my video I did last week? I did the unboxing of the new V4S with Ross from Rotate Motorcycles. Well, while I was here, I spotted something which really caught my eye, and that was a Diavel. Yeah, I've ridden the new Diavel V4 before, but this one had the optional Akrapovic fitted, which I think is a £5,000 optional extra on that bike. But it sounded amazing on idle, and I said to Daniel, I said, can I ride that bike? He said, yes, come back and ride it. So here I am. We've got the sunshine, we've got the bike, we've got the location. So I'm going to take the Diavel out for a bit of a spin around the countryside with that £5,000 Akrapovic and just see, is it worth the money? What extra does it bring to that bike with that system on? Because it sounds amazing just on idle. I can't wait to hear it under load, up through the box. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. So if you're interested in the Ducati Diavel with the full Akrapovic system, and come on, who wouldn't be, then this is the video for you. So settle down, get yourself a cup of tea, and chop tea, roll the intro. So here is the bike and here is the system. Now it's an incredible looking system. Now, I really like the look of the standard system on the Diavel, where you've got the four like shotgun pipes sticking out. With the Acra, they sort of changed it to an inline sort of exit for the exhaust, but it still looks absolutely incredible. This one is in the black, which I think is also a £300 option. But yeah, we're going to take it out. We're going to give this bike a bit of a, well, it's only about 5 degrees today, so it's pretty cold, and we've got salt down on the road, so we've got to take it a little bit easy. But I'm really interested to see how this bike rides with that system. Huge thanks to the guys at Ducati Bournemouth for letting me loose on this bike, and we're going to do a lot more work with the guys at Ducati Bournemouth. They've got some fantastic machines here. They've got the new Multistradas as well, so the 2025 Multistradas, all sorts of great bikes on their fleet. So anyway, let's get back to the main topic of the video, this absolutely gorgeous Diavel. So here she is, Black Beauty. She's going to be referred to as Black Beauty for the remainder of this video. But first of all, let's do a bit of a startup on this bike. You've got to hear this thing. It sounds absolutely phenomenal. So, is it like that? I can never remember. Oh my word. Go on. They will be waiting to hear it. These guys will be waiting to hear me start it. So I've done that sound, it's an expensive system, £5,000 for an exhaust system. I will admit to you, that is getting a little bit pricey, and you can buy a nice motorcycle for £5,000. I'm actually going to have to shout, I think, to hear myself over this thing, but I'm really interested to see what this rides like with that pipe. I borrow a lot of Ducatis, but they're always absolutely bone stock. I can't wait to see what that pipe brings to the ride of this machine. So let's do it. So the Diavel V4, I have ridden one before, I have reviewed one before. We did a comparison with the Diavel V4 and the Rocket 3, which I'll put links to at the top in case you haven't seen them. The sound of this thing, oh, that sounds absolutely incredible, absolutely incredible. As you can see, the roads today are a bit of a nightmare, and again, massive shout out to Bournemouth Ducati for letting me loose on the salted roads, because this bike's going to need a full valet by the time I'm done with it, taking it out in the salt. Well, it seems almost criminal to take this bike out on the salty roads, but I had to try it, So as a little reminder, the Ducati V4 Diavel uses the same engine which is in the Multistrada. So this is basically the Multistrada engine, so not the Panigale engine. So the motor in this uses conventional valve springs. It's not a Desmo engine, so it doesn't make as much power as the Desmo engine, but the advantages are 9,000 mile service intervals, and more importantly 36,000 mile valve checks. So you haven't got the expensive, you know, Desmo valve service. Well, I guess it's still expensive, but it doesn't have to have until 36,000 miles. So you get that, you know, a longer range engine basically, but it's down a little bit on power. So I think it's 168 horsepower, and I believe 123 Newton meters of torque. Oh. Oh, that pop! That pop! Wow, that picks up absolutely incredibly. Now, it was about, I guess, I think it was last year actually I last rode a Diavel, so it has been a little while. And that was only part throttle, and it really does pull. It really pulls like an absolute train. And because this bike's got a long wheelbase, I don't think there's not, I'd say probably it's the only bike out there, I don't think anything accelerates quite like a Diavel V4S or Diavel V4, because it's just the way, because it's long, it puts the power down without the wheel coming up. Because normally, you know, if you ride the Panigales, I think which way I've got to go here, I think it's the left. If you ride a Panigale, for instance, or any of the other bikes really, you know, you're limited by, they're so powerful, you're limited by wheel lift. You know, so if the wheel starts to come up, the electronics dial things back. Even if you turn off the traction control, the wheel starts to come up, you've got to close the throttle. But because this bike's so long, got such a long wheelbase, and such a massive back tyre as well, it just puts that power to the road. And this thing is so fast in the first 3 gears, unbelievably fast. And it really handles as well. For such a long bike, it handles incredibly. It handles much better than like the Rocket 3. I mean, it only weighs 230 kilos wet, so it's, you know, it's for this sort of bike, you know, it's really light, really sporty. But this pipe has got the baffles out, so there are some baffles to go in these pipes. They've been removed on this bike, which is another reason it sounds so awesome. You do also get what they call an up map with the exhaust, so you get a map which adjusts the fueling for the exhaust. So the bike will make more power and more torque with this exhaust, because it's not being stifled by the Euro regulations. So it's free flowing. The map obviously corrects all the fueling, so this bike will make more power than the standard bike for sure. And the fueling is lovely as well. You know, the fueling is really nice, even through town. The beautiful fueling, and you just turn that throttle, and my God, that sounds absolutely incredible on the dry line. The back was spinning a little bit there. Oh my word. Oh, that crack, did you hear that crack there? That pop on the upshift. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So here she is, looking splendid in this winter sun. But massive apologies to Ducati Bournemouth. Look at what I've done to your bike. That is sacrilege, isn't it? All that salt all over that system. So yeah, again, I can't thank Ducati Bournemouth enough for letting me loose on this. But you know, this system, and I was a little bit disappointed when I first saw this Akrapovic, because I love the standard system where you got like the 4 exhausts sticking out, almost like a sort of mini gun. I really like that look, and I wasn't sure about them all being sort of put in line like that, the 4 outlets. But it's really growing on me, and you know it's different. You know it's not the standard exhaust like that. But I mean, the carbon, I mean, it's absolutely filthy now. It is sacrilege, as I say, but You've got this little carbon heat shield, and you can see you can see the holes there where the baffles should be, or could be if you want to run the baffles. But it is loud. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but it is really, really loud. So it's not too loud, but I think I maybe would run it with the baffles in. I don't know. I'd have to try it maybe with the baffles in. But it is loud. It's loud. There's no other word for it. You can't see the headers, that they are hidden behind the salt-covered radiators. But you can. There's another little cover here, and you can just see the exhaust under here. So the exhaust is all really, you can't really see it. It's under a heat shield here. So the headers you can't really see. So all you can really see are this exhaust system, which is what you see here. That's it. £5,000. It certainly brings that bit of theatre. I mean, even the standard bike sounds pretty decent. I mean, I don't know how Ducati do it, but they always make their bikes sound pretty good, even standard, which is a great thing, with the Ducati range. A lot of Japanese bikes in particular, they're so quiet standard, but these do sound good standard, I have to say. But with that bike, it sounds amazing. I mean, I haven't opened it up fully yet. We will give it a bit of Wellington at some point in this ride, just to see what she can do. So I have increased the traction control to maximum because of the conditions. I don't want to be that guy that takes out the apple from the dealer and then smashes it up. God, it's got some grunt, this thing. It's got some grunt. Oh, I love a Diavel. Last time I borrowed this, I was like, I could see myself owning one of those. That hasn't changed. In these conditions, I can feel the rear sort of fighting for grip. It's got so much grunt, so much pickup on the throttle, and it feels nimble. It really changes direction incredibly well. I think the sort of limiting factor on one of these is really, I guess, the peg height, But I think it feels like you could do a track day on this if you had a bit more clearance, maybe. The sort of controls, the feet controls, are sort of in the middle. They're not sort of feet forward. They are forward a bit. They're sort of in front of your hips, definitely. Your knees are up a little bit. It's a cool riding position. I mean, I'm 6'2". I feel like I fit this like a glove, to be honest. This is definitely a bit of me, this. Absolutely a bit of me. Oh, the noise though. The noise. When you come off the throttle, there's quite a lot of engine braking. I know you can adjust all of that normally, but I do think on the Diavel, I think you're a little bit more restricted of what you can do with the electronics. I can't remember exactly, I'd say it's been a year since I've ridden it, but I don't think you've got the same level of flexibility and adjustment that you have on, say, the Panigale. It's lovely to borrow a bike which actually has the pipes on and stuff though, because everyone always tells me, oh yeah, try it with the exhaust and the map. You've got to try it with the exhaust and the map, but there's just no option. It's so nice to find a dealer who's putting these on their demos, because it's going to take a special person to invest £5,000, well, plus nearly £1,000 labour to fit the exhaust as well, because you've got to really strip these things down to actually fit the full system. So it's roughly about £6,000 by the time you put the labour on top. That's a lot of money to spend, isn't it, without actually hearing one, without riding one with the pipe on. So it's great that a dealer's willing to do that. So massive props to Ducati Bournemouth there, that's for sure. But yeah, in town it feels nice. Even at low RPM, 2,500 revs, there's a tiny little bit of sort of on-offness to the throttle at that speed, but I am in the sport mode. So I guess that's to be expected. But I mean, I'm being hypercritical there, But yeah, I could certainly absolutely live with that. And if you go over 3,000 revs, that fueling is beautiful.
Right, let's give it a berries. Oh, that crack on the throttle. That pop, that sounds amazing. Yeah, this is a good bit of road, this is the bit of road I thought. Oh dear, I wish it was dry. I wish it was dry. Oh, that pop, when you get the revs just right, you get that crack. Let's keep her singing, let's keep her singing. Get the revs up. It's that crack as you go up the throttle there. Into fourth, power surges in. And like I say, this bike does handle. Don't think this is your normal cruise, you know, doesn't go round corners. This thing handles beautifully. Like I say, this is almost, I almost don't class this bike a cruiser. This is almost like a hyper-naked, really. It's a cross between a cruiser and a hyper-naked. And I'm not sure what it does best, whether it's more on the hyper-naked side than it is the cruiser side. It maybe, it could be edging towards the hyper-naked more so than the actual cruiser. Wow. What a thing, what a thing. Third into fourth, gets that real pop. That real pop. I've got the camera back there, I wonder if we can see any flames. I bet if it was dark, I bet you'd see flames shooting out that exhaust there. Oh, it's difficult because it's wet and slippery and cold. When I go hard on the gas, I can feel the bike managing the power. With the traction controls obviously high. I mean, I don't want to risk it a £30,000 motorcycle, and I've got £2,500 insurance. If I bend this, it's going to cost me £2,500. So I'm being incredibly careful. But you can feel the way the bike's managing the power because it's slipping, and then, you know, once you go up a certain speed, it unleashes, you know, oh, you get all of it. that whip crack as you change gear. Oh, it does. This bike is a beast. Standard, this bike is a beast. Adding this pipe to it, oh, it turns it into, what's above a beast, you know, it turns it into an absolutely incredible bit of kit. And Dan said, you know, it's not just all theatre. It's hard to tell because it's a year since I've ridden the old bike. Obviously it's cold, it's wet, I've got the traction control maxed out, you know, so it's hard to say if it's you know, a lot quick. It definitely seems to pick up at an incredible pace, but the standard bike did. So it's hard to say whether I could tell, you know, if there's a massive performance gain with the exhaust. I'm not sure. Possibly there is, you know, possibly there is, but I can't tell that today in these conditions without back-to-backing it with the stock bike. I can tell you, it just completes this bike. You know, the standard one is quite noisy anyway, but with this system on this, I don't know, it just makes it something incredibly special, you know, and it just gives you that full experience, let's call it, you know. And I'm not going to belittle, you know, £5,000 for an exhaust is a ridiculous sum of money. You know, you can get a very nice motorcycle for £5,000. You know, I'm not denying it. So everyone in the comments going, oh, you know, £5,000, that's ridiculous. And I agree, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But if you're in a position to afford a £5,000 exhaust, then I'm not going to say you get your money's worth, because how do I quantify whether it's worth £5,000 or not? I can't say it's worth £5,000, but if you can afford it, it will keep your Ducati warranty, It sounds amazing. I couldn't want more, you know. You buy like a lot of the approved exhaust systems, they're all they're all tuned down to the right volume. They don't make too much noise. They're a bit of a waste of time. I mean, they look a bit better, they're a bit lighter, but they bring nothing on the performance front, they bring nothing on the sound front. And I love the fact that Ducati will supply you a system, keep all the warranties intact, and you can make your bike sound like this. How cool is that?